Good morning. I'm Frank Messina, and I'd like to welcome you to the July 20th, 2021 meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission. We have a couple of announcements, if you could bear with us. This meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. No one seems to be recording. Thank you very much. This meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted via remote participation in accordance with Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 and shall accord adequate alternate means of possible access via Microsoft Teams by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 147496 051 hashtag, or by joining the meeting via Microsoft Teams link in the posted agenda. Despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of the meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak on any issue, hearing, or business on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair. Okay, the procedural steps, we'll do a roll call, and then I will ask citizens and non-board members participating in the call for their name and the last four digits of their phone number for identification purposes. After an agenda item has been discussed by the public body, I can request citizens and non-member board members to make their comments and suggestions. All votes will be taken by roll call. Okay. First item here is to see who's here. And again, I would ask all the members of the commission to turn their cameras on. Roll call, Vice Chair Bob Lear.
I'm here.
Clerk Sandy Porter, absent. Ben Solomzinski.
Here.
Stephanie Hamilton.
Here.
Jane Moffett.
Here.
Don Aikman.
Here.
Steve Burlingame.
Steve, you're muted.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, in his previous capacity as alternate, will be filling in for Sandy as a participating and voting member of the commission. So we do have a quorum. I would note that Janet Tennyson, a new member, was appointed to the commission by the select board about a week ago, and she is on the phone. Unfortunately, she can't access the Microsoft link. So Janet, as a alternate member, like to welcome you, Janet.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
okay.
I'm not there on the screen or with you in person.
Well, but we have a good, clear telephone connection, and that's good.
That's good. Thank you.
Janet, as an alternate, will be participating in all of discussions, but you are not a voting member at this particular time. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. We do have a formal reorganization of the board under new business, in which we will re-elect the chairman, a vice chair, clerk, and reaffirm our community preservation committee representative. So that, in the meantime, I guess, I'm not sure the technical term, sine die or what, we're going to continue with the public hearings that were conducted previously with the current members of the commission. Okay. For the public's information, we have two or three applications which we had heard at our previous meeting were to hear on a June 15th meeting, but that meeting had to be rescheduled. I believe it was the day the COVID restrictions, the previous legislation of the governor were lifted, and we found ourselves in limbo here. So discretion being the better part of valor, these applications and hearings were rescheduled. So we will now take them up as rescheduled. Oh, sorry about that. We have minutes first. Okay. We have the minutes of June 1st, 2021. All the members were provided copies. and yet ample time to review them.
I
So what-
move that we accept the minutes of June 21st, June 1st, excuse me. This is Stephanie speaking.
Thank you very much, Steph. Do we have a
I
second?
Second, Jane.
Second by Jane. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll take a roll call. Bob Lear,
Yes.
Ben Solzinski,
I can't vote. I wasn't there.
Yes,
I
you're
was
right. Sorry
absent.
about that, Ben. Thank you.
That's all right.
Stephanie,
Yes,
Jane,
Yes,
Don,
Yes.
and again, Mr. Burlingame was also absent. So I assume you will recuse yourself. Okay, now motion passed. Moving on. Okay, the first application from our rescheduled hearing is application 21013 to be heard in accordance with chapter 158, the demolition delay bylaw. The address is 30 Kent Place. And I believe it's Mr. Litchfield who's going to represent the applicant in the hearing. Just give me a second. If I recall, we do have a Form B on this property, which goes back to 1918. And Mr. Litchfield, are you here, sir?
I am. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bill Litchfield here on behalf of Donald and Lillian or Jamie Chalker, who have owned this house on Kent Place for 40 odd years and have been good stewards of it. And they would like to, the house itself, as the chairman said, is described in a Form B. It's actually older than 1918. The Form B speaks to it as vernacular, but also, I think, more correctly as Greek Revival, which it essentially is. The right-hand side, is shown on your screen, is the original structure. And it was actually built before 1918 because the deed from Augustus Burse to Elnora Smith in that year conveyed the land and the dwelling house. So we know the house was there before 1918. I personally, I would tend to think it was the prior century, but that's irrelevant, plainly more than 75 years old. On the left-hand side of that photograph, behind the trees, there is shown an L. And Michelle, if you could bring up the photograph of the original house, the older one that shows the porch, which we prepare, that one, we can flip that around. On the left-hand side there, you will note there is a porch. And that is exactly what Donald and Jamie would like to do, to restore the porch which was there. Now, I don't know exactly when this photograph was taken, but I would guess by the colors and so forth, it might have been in the 1800s, or certainly not later than the early part of this century. And at the last century, rather. And at the time, there was a porch. So what Mr. and Mrs. Chalker would like to do is to, instead of demolish, to restore something which was there. We have some other photographs of it, but it's behind, before the Chalkers bought it, when it was somewhat run down, and it was behind a hedge. So that's the best photograph that we have to show it. But they propose to restore that porch in terms of loss of historic materials. Of course, first of all, the L to which the porch is to be restored is not an original part of the house, although it's more than 75 years old. But the front of that L is covered with synthetic clapboards. So there is going to be minimal, if any, loss of historic material. The trim will be designed, and all of the materials will be designed to match the existing house. So it is, we think, a fairly simple and straightforward request, which again is not only not antithetical to historic preservation, is in fact historic restoration. That's essentially what we're seeking.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your direct and concise presentation. Uh, so I don't believe we don't have any issues with the applicant or possibly with the members of the board as it relates to the historical significance of the property. And in keeping with the process which we have been following late, we'll address the question of historical significance. Without my taking a roll call, does any member of the commission have any comment as it relates to historical significance in the negative? If not, we could proceed with that motion. Okay, Mr. Lear,
Yep. I move that the Chatham Historical Commission find that the building located at 30 Kent Place is historically significant because it is in whole or in part 75 years old or more, and it is associated with one or more historical persons or events, social political history of the town, and possesses architectural value or significance in terms of period and style.
I will second, Steph.
thank you very much, Steph. Okay, we'll quickly run down the members to see if anybody has any comments. In addition, Mr. Lear,
No comments.
Ben,
No,
Stephanie,
No,
Jane,
No,
Don,
No comment.
Steve,
no comment.
and Janet. Do you have any comments?
No, I think it's a good plan.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now take a vote call of the voting members. Mr. Lear,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes,
Stephanie,
yes,
Jane,
yes,
Don,
Yes.
Steve,
yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, now that we've determined the historical significance, and Janet, just a little bit of a side, excuse me, Bill, what we do is we attempt to address the issue of historical significance first. If in fact we find it historically significant, then we proceed with the second part relative to a demolition delay or not. And in this case, it makes it a lot simpler. Okay, now, does anybody, I personally don't have any problems with the application. I think it's a very, very good application in terms of, as Mr. Litchfield put it, restoring, some of the historic elements of the property, back to what it was in prior to the 1900s. So I have no problem with it. Any questions? Bob?
Sorry. No question.
Okay, Ben?
No, no questions.
Steph?
no questions.
Jane?
no questions.
Don?
I think it's a good plan. No question.
Steve?
Glad to see it happening. No questions.
And Janet?
I agree. It's good that it's happening. It's a lovely, lovely home.
Okay, so Bob, a motion, please?
The Chatham Historical Commission also finds that the proposed work to be done dated, I believe, September 20th, 2020, will not materially diminish the historic significance of the building structure, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
Do we have a second?
Second, Don.
Don, second. Bob, do me a favor. Can you somehow get closer to your microphone? You're kind of fading out a bit.
Yeah, it's off an iPad. That's part of the problem.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion and second. Have roll call in terms of vote, and if there's no other questions. Mr. Lear,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes,
Steph,
Yes,
Jane,
Yes,
Don,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Bill, thank you very much. Appreciate the completeness of the application.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your confidence in this plan.
Thank you very much. Okay. It goes so much quicker and faster when we have an application that kind of answers all the questions and up front. Okay. Moving on to application 21014 to be heard in accordance with chapter 158, the demolition delay bylaw. This is 17 Silverleaf Avenue. And our good friend Chris Cannon, I believe, is here to make the presentation. This is home, and I believe we do have, I recall, a, a Form B on the property. It's actually a Form B, which was done back at with one of the original ones, not updated by Norm Pakin and Mr. Jenkins. Goes back to a while ago. But we do have some significant issues as it relates to the historical significance of the property. I think the date, although we don't have an exact date, believe I read somewhere, I can't find my own references relative to the date, but I believe it certainly does go back in terms of historical significance. Okay, enough of an introduction. Chris, you want to give us a quick overview or tell us what you'd like to do?
Yeah, good morning. It's Chris Cannon speaking. Today, I think we have both Stu and Ann Randall who are attending, as well as I think Attorney Litchfield will be representing in zoning. So he's welcome to speak in or chime in anytime he likes if I somehow fail to mention something. So this particular garage that we're requesting to demolish and reconstruct is it's questionable whether or not it's 75 or 80 years old, might be under. I've found in the 1938 aerials that it did not exist. However, I found pictures that were definitely dated sometime between 1943 and 1950 that it does show that it exists. So we know that it's, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, for what it's worth, let's assume that it's 75 years old. The house itself, again, we don't know the actual date. We believe it was moved here according to the Form B, which was done in 2000, October 2000. The house itself was moved there at some point in the early 1900s, I guess, or in the 20s maybe. And that house was completely reconstructed in 1988. The first floor was altered tremendously. There was no second floor, so the roof was removed and a second floor added to it. Several bedrooms put up there. The house that we're dealing with, whether it is or is not significant, it's not a contributing structure in the old village. Is first of all, the house is not what we're looking to remove. But we will be attaching to it. And I think it's valid discussion to have, but we'll be attaching to something that also was not there before 1988, essentially. So what we're proposing to do is to remove the garage and replace the garage with a two-story structure and engage the garage portion of the building with the house. Currently, it's one portion of the L-shaped garage and bunkhouse is 3 feet away, and the other portion is 6 feet away from the house. So we're looking to infill in between the two, and so it will become one building instead of two. The garage itself is a structure that is in the ground on one portion of it on the neighbor's property. It's essentially 2 or 3 feet from the neighbor's property. And it's about 2 feet below the earth. So there's a retaining wall about a foot and a half off of the garage. That's the only thing keeping it from being destroyed by water. So part of our plan in rebuilding is to put in a foundation that would act also as a retaining wall. The existing foundation is a CMU foundation, and it's all open cell CMU, which is a nice nesting habitat for vermin. So another reason why we're looking to remove it, it's nothing ever been protecting that from mice and other creatures. So we're certain that exists. The height of the structure itself, it would be rather difficult to add a second floor. It's just not practical for us to try and work with the structure. It's also not a structure because there's no floor other than the slab inside it that would really lend itself towards moving to some other site, nor would it be of much value, I think. So, because it's marginal as far as the age, and could be younger than 75, could be older, but not by much. Our proposal is to remove it and reconstruct.
Okay. Just a couple of comments. This home, this property is in the National Register District, although it wasn't listed as a contributing structure. Michelle, am I correct in that?
Yes.
Now, I don't know if it was not listed as a contributing structure or the homeowner opted out. Don, do you have any information about that?
I do not, but I suspect that maybe it was just a mistake because I believe that this house is certainly should be contributing, but it is not listed as contributing, but I think that might have been a mistake or an oversight.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Don. There's no question that, in my mind, that the house is historically significant and should have been listed. I'm not sure of the process to go back and change the National Register District listing, but I know you can do that. What the process is. Having said that, whether the property is listed as a contributing structure or not, we as the commission have an obligation relative to the streetscape of the National Register District, and as well as streetscape is relative to changes within the district in a contributing and non-contributing under Chapter 158. So we should consider that. I do have some issues and problems, but why don't we? To me, Chris, very simply, the house, the way it is, there was a garage attached, and now, unfortunately, there's a significant structure, that is being added to the corner of the house, and does not show the. Let's put it this way: if it was a contributing structure, we certainly wouldn't approve it because of the lack of, in my opinion, the lack of the separation from the original house and this major addition you want to put on. And it is major in some way, but let me stop talking for a second and ask members of the commission by roll call if they have any comments or questions relative to what is being proposed. Bob?
Well, I think, I certainly agree with the fact that it's a historically significant house. I'm not too sure to what extent we can apply the National Historic Register standards. I agree it's large, but it is, I believe the height is, Chris, is it higher than the?
No, it's a couple feet lower.
Right, okay. So it is large, but there is a garage there already. It's not like they're adding a whole new thing. It's just that attachment that stands out, I guess. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with historical significance, but I do have some questions about.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
I do have some questions about, I don't have questions about the historical significance, but I do about the mass of the proposed addition.
Well, questions in relative to the amount, the size of the mass of the addition, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes. And if there's a way to reduce it, I think that would be good, but I'm not, I'm sure Chris has thought of that concept.
Chris, do you have any comments relative to that issue before we move on?
Well, I think the only I can say is that the walls in the second floor are at the edge, something like 5 feet high. So reducing it is pretty difficult, 5 feet being the standard for the lowest wall that we can actually consider as floor area. So it's not much I could have done there in terms of trying to put a second floor. We tried to reduce that as much as possible just by keeping the walls low. So yes, I did consider it, and that's how I arrived at the height of the walls.
So the issue there, I guess, is that connector from the garage to the other house, to the main house. that connector is in fact living space?
It's a bathroom
Uh,
closet space.
yeah. All right. Now I see. Now I understand. All right. Let's move on and see if we got other members. Ben, how was your feelings?
I have no objections so far.
Okay. Stephanie?
Yes, I do feel it has historic significance. The other thing I'm worried about is it being right beside the house, not distinguishing itself from the house. I'm wondering if there could be a little separation from the two parts.
Okay. Ben, I forgot to ask you, are you relative to historical significance? You have problems if it not being historically significant or being?
No, I think it's historically significant. I was mainly saying so far, I don't have any objection to the proposed
Got it.
Plan of attaching the garage.
Okay. Jane? The question is relative to historical significance and any other questions of the applicant.
I think it is historically significant. And I am concerned about the fact that there must be a zoning issue if it's on the neighbor's property.
It's not.
I also wondered why it wasn't in the National Historic Register. I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Okay, the zoning issue, that's fortunately another board gets paid much more than we do. Okay, Don?
Um, I, I, I believe it's historically significant, but I think Sam Strivett modified it so much in years past, I guess it was 1988, that I'm not sure that I have a problem with the attaching a garage to what has already been modified beyond recognition. I do have a problem with the garage. I have a garage on my property that had no basement. Had no floor and what have you. The building mover picked it up, put it on my lawn. We built a foundation and slab floor and put it on it. And I've got a very functional garage. And I believe this garage could be utilized the same way. My thinking is that there are people in the old village, or I've heard of people in the old village who would like to have a garage. And I would like to see a demo delay on the garage for a period of time, maybe 6 months, so that to see if anyone would like to take it. I think it's a very functional building. I looked at it myself and believe it could be utilized. That being said, I'm afraid that I can't object to what they're proposing other than the demolition of the garage.
Okay, noted. Steve?
Microphone.
Mr. Litchfield, do you have your hand up, sir?
I do, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
when you're ready.
Yes,
I
I
have-
will. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, Steve?
I do have some ambivalence about its contribution historically. What took place in 1988, as somebody else alluded to, made a substantial change in this house. They didn't change the windows or move the front door 6 feet. They made substantial changes. They added a full second floor that added all kinds of stuff to this house. And chances are I know there was no historic registration at the time, but it seems that whatever it might have been, it no longer is. And I do not have a question with it being historically significant. I could support it, but I could easily just as well not support it.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt the process second. Yes, Mr. Litchfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to make a couple of comments in regard to an assumption. I don't think it is a fair assumption that a mistake was made in not listing this as a contributing structure. I think that, I mean, first of all, those of you who know the history of the commission know that an extraordinarily diligent original chair of your board was Claire Baisley, who lived about 100 yards or less than 100 yards from this house. She was chair of the Historical Commission in 1981. I think she may have still been chair in 1988. It was not an oversight.
Yes.
I think if exactly what Mr. Burlingame and Mr. Freeman have said makes Aikman rather, I'm sorry, makes an absolutely good point that because of what occurred during the prior renovation, the historic significance of the house was significantly challenged, we'll put it that way. As to a possible demolition delay on the garage, according to the assessors, and I haven't checked the building permit records, but the assessors who base their records on building permits say the garage was built in 1981.
Yes.
I wouldn't call it overreaching, but I would certainly call it questionable
All right.
to impose a demolition delay on a structure built in 1981, particularly one which is really not attached to an arguably historic structure. I appreciate your concern about streetscape and mass, but I would simply point out that we're talking about 106 square feet. And the notion of connecting structures sort of seriatim is entirely appropriate from an historic point of view, that there was a house to which was added an L, and there was a shed in behind that, and the two were connected, and maybe there was another connection to the barn or garage. So I don't think that's unusual. We appreciate your concerns, but I think Mr. Cannon has done a good job. And I would simply suggest that assuming this was an oversight would lead one to assume that any time a structure was listed as contributing, perhaps that was an error. And I don't think any of us wants to go down that road. And I thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bill. I just realized I didn't know if I was allowing you to speak as an attorney representing the applicant or John Q. Public.
Attorney representing the applicant.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at my list, Bill. I apologize for that. I didn't know. Well, anyway, that's fine. I'm happy for you. Thank you very much for your thoughts. I believe, if I may comment briefly, I think we were also, I love this word, opining on whether or not it was a mistake. I would agree with you that the process of getting it listed on the National Register, having gone through it myself and currently undergoing that process as we attempt to get the South Chatham Village listed over the last 10 years or more, working with Mass Historic and the review of whether something is or is not contributing, it is not done lightly. So I do agree relative to your comment that this was probably not a mistake nor an oversight, but it's just something, you could say, gee, I wonder why. And not having personally the detailed information that Mr. Burlingame, put forward, and then you revalidating relative to the changes that were made to the house, whether or not it was or was not eligible or potentially eligible as a contributing structure. Well, thank you very much. Okay. What I'd like to do at this particular point, we seem to have a difference of opinion, but we could proceed very quickly on the first issue before us of whether or not we feel the property, not the garage, the property as it's presented is historically significant. My own view, I believe it is. There's enough of the original house, which goes back a long way, possibly, before, 30s, and I'm not sure the actual rate. Certainly, we're not dealing with something built in 1700, but I think given the nature of the house, it is historically significant relative to, where it is and what it represents in the community. So that's where I am. Having said that, we could move on very quickly. Mr. Lear, could you provide a motion to allow us to proceed?
On the house being historically significant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I move that Chatham Historical Commission find that the building located at 17 Silverleaf Avenue is historically significant because it's whole or in part 75 years old or more. It's associated with one or more historical persons in the social or political history of the town and possesses architectural value or significance in terms of period and style.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second,
That was Ben.
yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other further discussion amongst the commission? All right, I see no hands up. I'm not going to do a roll call for that. We'll just do a roll call to vote. Mr. Lear,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes,
Jane,
Yes,
Don,
No,
no, thank you.
no,
I'm sorry, John, thank you. Steve,
No,
okay. So we have 1, 2, and the chair votes yes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yes, 2 no. So we're determined it is historically significant relative to the commission's, the commission's view. Having said that, okay, very simply, at this particular point, we've got a couple of issues here. The question is, do we allow it to proceed with no changes, or do we? I don't think anybody on the commission, from what I've been listening to, feels that this is a complete, non-starter and no way that we want this to proceed. But there is some question relative to, how it is presented from a streetscape point of view in the National Register District, which is part of our authority as a National Register District, even though it is not being presented, in my view, as a National Register contributing structure. So the question is, Mr. Cannon, or Mr. Litchfield, you've heard some of the comments. Do you have any potential ways to alleviate the issue of the connector, the bulk, or, we want to stand as it is? Thank you.
I have not considered any other ways. I went about what I felt was the best solution. This is Chris Cannon speaking.
Yes, sir.
I went about seeking what I thought was the best solution to meet my client's requests, and I thought it was consistent with other buildings that get altered over the years, and add second floors and sort of wind around. This building is very limited in where we can move it or what we can do on the property because it's such a small property. So we really tried to stick with the footprint. So, my goal was to, see what I could do with the footprint and get something to engage with the house that I thought did not stand out. As I said, I really tried my best to keep the building as low as possible, and couldn't see any other way to lower it.
Well, I would agree with you, Chris, in terms of, what you're trying to accomplish. But unfortunately, because it is a small lot and the massing that you've done here, does, in my opinion, provide a larger house in terms of its mass, and especially from a streetscape point of view. And ergo, that's the problem. Unfortunately, it's a small property, small house, and it has limitations. And as we try to, shoehorn things in, then we lose a lot of the architectural integrity of the community as well as the village, the National Register Village, and that's my concern.
Can I speak? This is Ben.
Ben, okay, I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
I think that in view of the fact that it's been,
Ben, can you get a little closer to the microphone?
I can, yes. I believe because it was so extensively renovated in 1988, the fact that the garage is very close and the fact that it is not significantly taller than the original portion, that we should just allow this to happen, because whether you look at the garage 3 feet away, or you look at it attached, I don't think it's a big difference. And I don't think that the fact that it's not, I think that the fact that it's not higher than the original building makes it even better for a streetscape visual. So that looking at the big picture again, you're only talking about a 3-foot space between the house and the garage. You're talking about a garage that is not going to be high, or garage space, so to speak, is not going to be higher than the original building. That it would be my feeling that that this should be approved as submitted, and allow these people to enjoy what they have. This certainly wouldn't be the first building in that area that was stuffed on a small lot. So my feeling would be to vote yes.
I hear you, Ben. Can I ask a quick question, Chris? Was
Yeah.
this always a 5-bedroom house?
It has had, to my knowledge, the house had maybe 3 before before Sam redid it, but the garage always had the bunkhouse piece, which is one of the bedrooms.
So effectively, you're making this a 5-bedroom house.
Well, no, it's already got the 5 bedrooms. Are you asking if it has it now, or were you asking if it was originally?
Okay.
Because that's
Oh,
two different
no,
things.
no. What does it have now? Okay, got it.
It has the 5 now.
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go down the list, guys.
Right, my hand is up, Steph.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to go down the list, Steph, but you can go ahead.
I just wanted to say that after opining this, I have to change my feelings because the house has been so changed before. So I
Got it.
would say, let it be.
All right. Okay. Bob, let me do it down in order so we can get it properly done. Bob.
Yeah, relative to what Chris was just saying, I'm looking at the floor plans, which I don't usually do because we don't have anything to do with that. But I see that the bunk room does stick out from the garage past the house. And in looking at one of the drawings, I guess one of the older renditions, it looks like the house is connected already. If you look through to where the bunk room is, you can't tell that it's not actually connected to the house. So the change is not as big as it might appear to be. It's really, it's the connector on the second floor that's
Yes.
adding to the connection.
Yeah, that was my concern also, not the connector, which does provide. All right. Any other comments, Bob?
I just visually, there's not that much change except for that piece on the second floor, and that doesn't bother me too much. So I'm okay with it not materially diminishing the historic significance.
Okay. Ben?
Ben muted.
While Ben is trying to unmute.
I have no objection to the plan as submitted.
Okay.
I would advise them to just go for it.
All right. Jane?
I sort of agree with Ben and Bob, and I don't object to it very much. I think it's too bad that the roof is high of the new above the garage section is about the same height. At least it looks like it on page 6. But I'm okay with it.
Okay, great.
I also want to thank Chris, especially for putting existing drawing on the same page with proposed. That makes it so much easier for us to see what you are trying to do.
Thank you. Don?
I have to politely disagree with Mr. Litchfield. I looked at the lumber in this garage, and I believe it is pre-war. But anyway, I do not have a problem with the addition, but I do have a problem with demolishing the garage.
Okay, Chris, is there any potential for accommodating the Don's request to hold off the demolition and to try to find a place for it?
Well, I think one could always try and find a place for it. Again, in today's world with the cost of everything, I just don't know that anybody's going to opt for this over something different. The moving of it will cost more than the replacement of it. So it just seems highly unlikely you're going to find somebody who's going to want this building, this particular building, that it's in the wood is in fine shape. Again, I would beg to differ that it's pre-war. I would say yes, it likely is about the end of the war. But so 1940 to 1947, some point in there when it was actually done. Can you get somebody to take it? There's always somebody who might take it, but I wouldn't bet on it. And
Okay.
Personally, I would ask you not put a delay on it for that purpose, but.
Well, I was not. I mean, counting the beans as much as I do. I was just asking it, as an accommodation, not necessarily as a delay, because I don't think there's the sufficient feeling of the commission for a delay. But still, I wanted to just at least explore Don's. Hey, we do this all the time. When someone has a house which unfortunately is going to be demolished, and we feel there's some historical integrity loss, that we tell people, you can avoid the dump by trying to find people who will accept not properties, but homes and reuse wood, et cetera, or in this case, reuse the garage. Anyway, so it just came up. Don, I guess I would ask you to, within the village, we could do something, but we could also make it available on the online on the website as well as through Mass Historic, that not Mass Historic, Cape Cod Commission, that there fact is a garage that could be available. Have to take a closer look. So
what about this is Ben? What about having Chris incorporate some of the lumber from the garage into the new addition, and this way everybody can be accommodated. We could save the lumber, and we could proceed with the buildings.
Well, I think, we could certainly make, Chris hears our comments, and I'm not sure he's going to be the contractor or if the owners are on board, but, whether or not we try to put that in any kind of motion, I think it's, your votes are not there. So unless someone has strongly disagrees, okay, I guess we need to move forward on this, but there seems to be consensus that there is no demolition to be imposed other than the fact that there is some comments relative to the garage. So to move it along,
Mr.
yes,
Chairman,
sir.
John,
Yes, sir.
I doubt that any demolition is going to take place during the summer. Is it possible that we request that the owners advertise the garage as being available until such time as someone comes with a wrecking ball to tear it down?
Chris, Mr. Litchfield?
Well, I think it's reasonable to advertise it. I can't speak for the owners as far as how they feel about that, or as to how they feel about reusing any of the materials. The material that if I was to consider that I would try to spare would be the siding or the sheathing that's on the siding. It's certainly possible one could use it if it's in good enough shape. But as far as, I would say have at it. If you want to advertise it for somebody to come remove it, we still have a zoning process to go through. That alone will be a few months. So it's not going to be torn down this summer.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Litchfield, briefly, Chris and I will speak with Mr. and Mrs. Randall. They've been homeowners here for 2 decades. They know a number of people in the old village. As Chris said, we can't speak for them, but certainly it wouldn't be beyond the pale for them to allow anyone who wanted to move it to have at it. Mr. Aikman has some success in relocating garages on Water Street. Perhaps there'd be room for another one.
I wish I could, but I don't have room.
All right. Thank you very much, Bill. I think you clarified the intention of the commission. Thank you very much. Okay, Bob?
You're looking for a motion on
Yes.
not imposing a delay. Okay. The Chatham Historical Commission also finds that the proposed work to be done dated May 14th, 2021 will not materially diminish the historic significance of the building structure. Therefore, the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
Second, please.
Second, Jane.
Jane, thank you, Jane. Okay, any other comments or questions? Janet, I apologize. I forgot to ask you if you have any questions or comments.
No, I think it's a good idea. I mean, if there had been a problem, as far as I can see, I think the lady that had been chairman of the commission would have raised it when all this other work was going on. The lot was too small for the house to be moved to begin with initially. So, and having gone to the site and seen it, I don't think it's really going to. I think it'll be an improvement, frankly, and I can't see imposing upon them to use old lumber and rotten wood just to. It's not designated historic, and they seem to have tried very hard to incorporate the style and charm that's been significantly altered already. I can't see a problem with this.
Thank you very
Go ahead.
much. Appreciate your comments.
Mhm.
Okay, we're going to do a roll call. If there are no members of the public wish to speak for or against the application. Do we know whose phone is ringing?
Stopped.
It's mine.
The doctor. Okay. All right.
Call, they want to check my credit again.
There,
Brad.
okay.
Will you vouch for me?
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Roll call to the motion in section that relative to the not being historically significant and no demolition delay. Mr. Lear,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes,
Jane,
Yes.
Don,
Yes,
Steve,
Yes.
and the chair reluctantly joins the commission and votes yes. Thank you very much. So again, Mr. Litchfield, thank you very much for that. And if you would let Michelle know how the applicant feels, we'll see if we could put something on our historical commission site and maybe, find another way to get the word out for people in the community. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will do so. We appreciate your time and consideration.
Well, thank you. Okay. Moving right along. I know we have a long agenda here today, so let's see, we've been at it an hour. Do anybody need to take a quick break or anything? Speak up and now I've hold you, please. No,
just want to say, I have to leave, this is Steph, I have to leave at 11.
then we shall press on. Okay.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I have to leave probably at 10:40 or so. I have a doctor's appointment that I couldn't change, as you can imagine. So I'll just silently slip out at the time.
All right. Mr. Burlingame, if you are appointed to a position when we reorganize, do you have any objection to that appointment?
I would be pleased to serve as clerk.
Oh, I was thinking as chair. Okay.
I'll skip the doctor's appointment if I had to.
No, that's okay. All right. Thank you very much for letting us know. All right. We're going to have to press on, guys. All right. 305 Main Street, 21006. This is rescheduled due to the cancellation on June 15th. This is heard in accordance with Chapter 158 and also heard in accordance with Section 12E of the Cape Cod Commission Regional Policy Plan. This one is near and dear to our hearts. I think Riley and Norcourse, Jamie, I think you're here.
I am, Mr. Chairman.
Good to
Frank,
see you.
Frank, it's Bob. Just to remind you, I'm recused on this matter.
All right, hold on here, guys. Okay, we don't have Bob. We're going to lose Ben. All right, we still have 4 members of the commission. You guys-
I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. It's not me.
All right, I meant Steve. I apologize.
All right, okay.
All right, so we still have 5 members of the commission. And Janet, I guess technically, when Janet, if you could participate in the meeting in which you are,
Yep.
when Mr. Burlingame leaves,
Mhm.
you will become a voting member on this. No, you can't become a voting member. I'll tell you why. Not that we don't like you. It's the fact that this application has been going on for many, many, many months. And
Yeah.
Technically, in order for you to vote, you would have had to be part of or listen to all of the recordings of the previous meeting.
Mm.
And
Oh,
I
I've
would,
been listening to you for a long time on this one.
uh,
But anyway, go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
all right. So and I wouldn't wish that on my worst. Okay, Jamie, you're nickel.
Yes, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the call with me today as well are 2 members of the Emerson family, Peter Emerson and Susan Gordon. Everyone's well aware.
I'm sorry,
we've,
Jamie.
with-
You just broke up a little bit. Who else is going to be with you?
Oh, I apologize. Peter Emerson and Susan Gordon, 2 members of the Emerson family.
Okay, thank you.
As you mentioned, we have been before the commission previously on this project, so I'll just give you a very brief overview of the property and the project, which, as you'll see, has been scaled down quite a bit from the previous filing. The building consists of the original Greek Revival portion, which is what you see on the screen right now, the portion of the property facing Main Street. There's also a rear L that runs perpendicular to Main Street that was the subject of several additions over the course of the year.
Sometimes a buyer will offer less and the brokers will, who knows?
Yeah, I looked at the
But that's what
offer
the party
and
signed. It's all on the seller's side.
Yep.
Who's the listing broker? I don't know.
Marie Kelly.
I want to send an email to both of them.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear us now?
Oh, wait a second. I lost you for a couple of minutes ago, and there was a high tone pitch. Did everybody else get that, or was that just me?
I got it, but somebody's mic must be on.
I got it too.
I got
All
it
right.
as well.
Well,
I got
okay.
it.
All right. Let me, Jamie, just hold on. Let me just make sure everybody's here. Bob, are you here?
Bob recused himself.
Yeah. Okay. Ben, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. Stephanie,
Yes,
Jane,
Yes.
Don,
Yeah, I'm here.
and Steve. Okay. And Janet, you're here? Janet Tennyson?
Janet, hey Frank, it's Michelle. Janet may have gotten kicked out of the meeting. I just did, and I had to rejoin.
Okay. Can you do me a favor and just
I got
give,
kicked out of it too, and I just rejoined.
all right. Can you, Michelle, could you try to connect with Janet?
Yes, I'll do that.
This process is making my blood pressure raise. The next meeting is going to be in person. I don't care if we meet in the park. Okay. Jamie, I'm sorry. Where were we?
No, no apologies necessary. I was just explaining the rear L, which is the second part of the structure. The proposal at the last hearing was some renovation work to the front part of the structure facing Main Street, and then a tear down and rebuild of the rear L portion of the structure that runs perpendicular to Main Street. At that hearing, it was, I'd say, the opinion of the majority of the commission that the proposed new structure for the rear part of the building was seemed to have too much mass. We continued to try and work on a redesign of that addition. Unfortunately, due to some limitations in the design process, it's not feasible for the family at this point, and they've decided to reduce the scope of the project. Therefore, the project no longer consists of a tear down and rebuild the rear L portion of the building. Instead, the only structural changes will be the modifications to the main front structure. The only change to the footprint of the building will be the addition of the porch on the front of the house, which totals approximately 90 square feet. The application we filed lists about 500 square feet or so of lost historic material. It should be pointed out that the vast majority of this total comes from the replacement of doors and windows, which we think is a real positive factor in this case. If Michelle or Ali, if you could just please pull up the proposed elevations for me.
That's Ally doing that work, but that's okay.
Hi, Jamie. Is this the one you want? This plan? Can you see it?
Nothing's on the screen.
We can see, Jamie. It's the what she's showing is the one sheet you presented, which was
Okay.
the elevation.
Sure,
Timothy
I can use
Emerson.
that.
Okay.
It's not on my screen, but I can just describe it. That's fine.
All right.
So the
you want to enlarge it? Which elevation you want us to look at? North?
If you have the full one page, I'm just going to run through the various changes to the three sides of the front structure.
Okay, go ahead.
So if you look at the north elevation, so that's what faces Main Street. The proposed revisions are the additions of the two doghouse dormers on the left-hand side, the addition of a new farmer's porch on the left-hand side. There's going to be a new door created where a window currently exists underneath the farmer's porch on the right-hand side. The front main door that you see, the proposal is to keep that, as it may be original to the home. So the family wants to keep that door. It won't be replaced. All other windows on this north elevation are to be replaced in kind. If you look at the west elevation, which is the right side of the house, if you're viewing the structure from Main Street, the proposal is to add the two doghouse dormers and then to replace in kind the existing windows. And then if you look at the east elevation, which is the left side of the structure, if you're looking at it from Main Street, the proposal is to replace in kind the existing second floor window, to replace the existing door with the window shown on this proposed elevation, and then to remove the second window that's to the left-hand side of this elevation that currently exists, and that would just be replaced with shingles to match the existing. The back of the structure, the only proposed changes are to replace all doors and windows to match existing. And then in terms of the rear L, where originally we had proposed the demolition and rebuild of the new structure, the only proposed changes are to replace all of the doors and windows to match existing. The Emerson family believes this proposal is in keeping with the characteristics of the neighborhood and maintains the historical integrity of the structure. We certainly don't believe it constitutes a substantial alteration. At the last hearing, again, while majority of the members were opposed to the demolition and rebuild of the rear L portion of the structure, it seemed folks were in favor of these rather minor changes, I'd say, to the front portion of the building. We're hoping that sentiment remains today. So with an effort to keep your time in mind, that would be the extent of our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. And I do appreciate the cogent and concise presentation of what we're doing and where we are at this particular point. I would comment that I had conversed with Sarah Korjeff, Cape Cod Commission of the revised, and she was in agreement that she felt this was a reasonable compromise to still maintain the historical significance of the property and not substantially or make alter, not have a substantial alteration of it as a National Register contributing product. Things are very tough now with the COVID, but we are communicating. Having said that, I just have a couple of quick questions, if I may, on the application, which I do agree. You did a good job in scaling it down, and I think you did address all, I believe, the concerns of the. I'd like to use the word concerns rather than objections of the members of the commission, as well as Sarah Korjeff and the Cape Cod Commission. And I know it's a difficult project for the family, and sorry it's taking so long for it to proceed. Having said that, just one specific question, where you keep saying match the doors and windows. One of the key things for me in the front of the house is I think the existing house is 12 over 12, and obviously it looks like on the north elevation, the window underneath the new porch is 12 over 12, and the windows above, I guess, are not 12 over 12 because they're much smaller windows, but you still are showing the 4 separate panes. So I guess it's 8 over 8. Is that correct? Can I assume that the windows will be consistent with the drawing? That this is not just an artistic view?
That's correct. They'll be consistent with the drawing.
Yeah. My only comment is these are obviously not construction drawings. These are concepts, and that usually gets us in trouble when we approve a concept and all of a sudden the actual construction drawings come in and whoopsie. All right. Other than that, I think I will open this up. Michelle, help me here. I believe we already must have months ago made the motion as its historical significance. Is that
Yes,
correct?
you have. Yes, that
Okay.
is correct.
Thank you.
March 2nd.
March 2nd. Okay, so the members of the commission, we don't have to deal with that. We've already done that. So we have two elements we have to deal with, and we'll get comments as, do we agree with the application, the modifications being made and under chapter 158, and you can also opine to make things move quickly, that if you do, you also would agree that it does not rise as a significant, substantial alteration, which would refer it to the Cape Cod Commission. Having given that speech, Ben, can you help me here? How do you feel?
I've been on board since the beginning. I had no objection to even the first set of plans, so I'm still okay with everything.
Very good. Stephanie?
I'm okay with everything.
Thank you. Jane?
Hi, I'm basically okay. I just wondered about the porch that he referred to. I think that if the roof could continue left a little bit to the edge of the building, it might look a little better. It seems to cut short.
Well, I believe, Jane, I believe it cuts short because it has a second, well, it's not straight across, correct? Is that correct, Jamie? I mean, there's another roof feature there.
Is that correct?
You don't really see it.
I can't see it, but I just thought it would look better if it went to the end of the building instead of, I didn't know whether it's a tree in the way or why it was.
Jamie, is the architect here?
He's not, but I have Peter Emerson, who's familiar with the design.
Yeah.
Who can speak to this.
Peter?
So,
Hi,
yes.
if I may, is the issue that it's shown, unfortunately, in that sketch, when you look at the east elevation of the porch, you can see that he brings the porch down. Well, anyway, why don't you explain what's happening?
So let's look at the north elevation to address the question. I would like to note that there is one change to the drawing. As we look at the left end of the porch, the roof line, it appears to be beveled back, angled back. That will
Yes.
not be the case. It will come straight across. And so as
Ah,
you look at the,
okay.
so as you look at the east elevation, there should be a rake board there,
All
a
right.
detail at the end of that as well, okay?
All right. So that was yeah, I saw the beveled across, and that's what I thought what you were doing. But all right. So you're going to change the drawings to reflect it coming all the way across.
Yes, those drawing, yes, that is correct, sir.
All right.
To get back to the question about extending the porch all the way over to the east end, I think the intent here is that it should be something that is added to, not covering up the house. The intent would be to say, okay, let's float a roof within this space, but it does not have to come all the way over to the edge of the building and cover up the trim, the nice trim that's there. The idea is allow that trim to see and let the roof float within that space.
I actually agree with you. Jane, are you okay with what he's saying?
I think it will look better if it doesn't go in, if it goes straight back. I had a problem with that angle.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what the intent is. I agree with you, totally agree with that.
It
All
just
right.
looks funny.
Thank you, Jane. Don?
Otherwise, I'm okay with it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. I apologize. I'm sorry. You were finished, Jane?
I like the idea that he reduced the scale or is not changing the L. And certainly like the idea that they are preserving the original structure on Main Street.
Thank you, Jane. Don?
I think the new proposal is excellent and I would fully support it.
Steve, are you with us? No. Okay. And Janet, unfortunately, not unfortunately, you can't vote, but do you have any comments, Janet?
No, I would defer to you. I mean, you've all been handling it for a long time, so I would hope that the new plan would make it fit in with the scenery better.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the chair agrees with the majority of the commission here. I think we've belabored this for a while, and I do appreciate everybody's cooperation, including the family, to make this happen. Okay, having said that, we need a motion, and the motion, Don,
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
go ahead.
I guess the motion, all right, go ahead, Don. You know what to do. First motion will be relative to chapter 158. Go ahead.
I move that the commission find that the renovations to this property, I don't know what the date is.
The date is on the drawing is, 5/27/21. I would say, if I may, Don, the date of the drawing is 5/27/21, but we're going to get a new drawing. But you can use 5/27/21.
Okay, I move that the renovations described in the plans dated 5/27/21 do not
materially
diminish the historic significance of this property.
I'll second Steph.
Thank you, Steph. Okay. Any other comments or questions from the members of the commission? Any other comments of members of the public speaking for or against the application? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Ben?
Yes, I agree.
Steph?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Okay. One thing on that, I would like to make sure the record and the determination reflect that we will be receiving a revised drawing from the applicant. And I assume the members of the commission will trust the chair to ensure the changes are consistent what we just talked about. And that will be the approved drawing. Okay, you're all right with that, Jamie?
Yes, that's no problem.
Okay, great. All right,
Mr.
we need a second motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the new drawings be reviewed by more than just the chair.
Okay, that's new, Don. Why are we doing that? Are you going to be the new chair?
No, no, more than, I think two people should review the plans instead of just one. I think what happened on Water Street was unfortunate, but it was, I think it was an oversight on the changes that were made that were not approved by the commission. So I think four eyes should be included.
Well, I do wear glasses, so it makes me four eyes.
Well, maybe six.
Well, we could go into the reason for the change, but okay. Hey, guys, you want to slow things down? It's okay with me. All right. Don, are you volunteering?
Yes, I would volunteer.
Okay, then I guess the members of the commission at some particular point are going to change our rules and regulation. But for this application in specific, all the changes will be reviewed by the chair, whoever he is at that particular time, and the volunteer member from the Old Village Association, Mr. Don Aikman. Okay, Don, now that you've made more work, could you give me another motion?
I move that the commission does not impose a demolition delay on this property.
I think we did that. At this particular time, the motion is that do not materially affect the historical significance of the property. It is not a substantial alteration, and there'll be no referral to the Cape Cod Commission.
Second, Jane.
I think
So
I just made the motion. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Don. That was the motion you meant to think. And Jane, you seconded. All right. Any member of the public wish to speak for or against the application? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Ben,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Jamie, thank you very much. So we can expect, do you think we can get that drawing pretty quickly?
We're going to do our best.
All right. So until that time, we're kind of on hold. And I want to thank the members of the Emerson family, for their cooperation in this. I know this was a difficult and long process, but again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Hold on, guys. I have to reboot here. 11 o'clock. Ben, what time you leaving?
I'm not.
Okay, good. All right, so we're good. All right. So Janet, you are now a voting member as we discuss this next application. Okay. The application is 21015. Be heard in accordance with Chapter 158, the demolition delay bylaw. We seem to be getting an echo, Dallas. Do you hear that? 322 Bridge Street. Filed by Casa Investments.
Frank, I'm now off. This is Steph.
You're off the call, Steph?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you have to leave. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You guys are killing me. All right. Stephanie is leaving. So we have Mr. Lear, you're back, right?
I am.
Okay. And Janet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we have 6 of us. This is really not a way to run a railroad, guys. A little bit frustrating here. Come on. Again, the application is 322 Bridge Street. And we'll take a quick look at it. This is an application for a property, home, for a complete demolition. There is a Form B on this property. And it looks like the original structure may go back to 1770. So we have an issue here as it relates to the historical significance of the original property. And as it exists now, I don't believe there's going to be too much of an argument relative to its historical significance, but we'll get into that first. And then the other issue is, in addition to the historical significance, the applicant's claim of the property being useless and needs to be demolished. So, having said that, I believe there's been a change in consigliere. You now have Mr. Riley. I believe I was told you are now presenting this application. Is he Riley here or Casa Investments? Going once, going twice. Michelle, do you have any idea what's going on?
I did have a call from Attorney Riley this morning, told me he was representing the applicants. I did see Venacasa on the guest list earlier, but I have to check now and see if they're still there.
All right. So hearing nobody here, we're gonna move on.
I see both Bill Riley and Barbara Venacasa as guests.
All right, give him a call, would you?
Yes, Barbara just unmuted, so I'm guessing she's trying to communicate with us. I will mute you here.
Yes, I'm on.
Are
Steve,
you
you're
there?
on.
Okay.
We're on. They're trying to contact, are they gonna move forward?
All right, who is speaking at the present time?
Frank, can I,
Yes.
this is Jane, can I say something? I can't see you or the plans.
All right, well, nothing.
and-
Jane, hold on 1 minute. Let me just at least try to get it set. One problem at a time. But I hear you, Jane. Just hold on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
All right, just hold on 1 second. Let's solve this. We're trying to find out if we have an applicant. Who do we have?
I am on, Barbara Venacasa. My husband is trying to log on. He's having trouble with his iPad. And Bill Riley should be on. I don't know why he's not on, if he's not.
Barbara Benacasa.
Yes.
I knew someone named Benacasa a long time ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Previous life, huh?
And not my previous life. It was a long time ago. It was a girlfriend from out in Long Island. But that's another story.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me now?
Who's that, Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome back. What happened?
I have no idea. I'm blaming
Okay.
computers.
All right, that's good. But just hold on a second, Bill. Let's solve another problem. So we have Mr. Riley, we have the Benacasa family, and we do not have Jane. Now, what's your problem, Jane?
I have another problem. I never got
Yes.
this application.
It was in your packet.
Well, I didn't find another packet from the June meeting. I didn't see one in the bucket.
Call from Wellesley MA.
Was there another?
Ladies and gentlemen, could you please shut your phones off? This is getting silly. Whoever has their phone on, turn it off.
Okay. I'm
All right.
sorry, and I never got the application.
Jane, you
Jane,
should have
this is
you should
Michelle.
have said something, Jane.
I didn't know that I was missing anything.
Oh.
Jane?
That's okay. That's okay. I'm here. I can see the building.
Jane,
Yes.
hold on. Michelle wants to say something.
Jane, there were two packets. The packet for June 15th was left in the box, and then I put an additional packet in for today's meeting that had these two applications in it. That had actually 322 Bridge Street and then 24 Ivy Lane, which has been subsequently withdrawn. But there was a packet in the box for you for today's meeting that had this application included. There are no plans for the proposed. Ally is now showing pictures of
Yeah.
the existing dwelling,
Yeah, thank you,
but
Michelle.
that's all we have.
Then that's my fault. I did not see that packet.
All right. Okay. No problem, Jane. I'm sorry. What now? I don't think it's. I really, you know, from a legal perspective, I don't think it's a problem. But we're going to do. We're going to go a little slow here. Ally.
Yes,
Ally, are
Frank?
you with me? Can you do me a favor, just for Jane? Could you show the pull those pictures off and show the application just quickly?
Sure. Just give me 1 second. I have to
Yeah.
rotate the page.
You know, part of the problem here, Jane, there was a large report which was attached, which is an integral of this application, but we'll deal with that. We may have to delay this. Okay, go ahead. All right, that's the application. Just scroll up on us. Jane, you got any questions? Casa Investments?
I'm reading it. It's a
Okay. Full
dem-
demolition. And the applicant states the reason for the demolition is damaged structure. Somebody needs to get a better handwriting here. Damaged structure. Okay. And restrictive cost is restoration cost is prohibitive. So that's the reason for the demolition, and no alternatives being proposed. And as Michelle indicated, there are no plans other than the fact that somebody's indicating a Cape Cod style home to be built, whatever that means. Okay. Then you go to the next one, Ally. This is the narrative. And why don't you just read it, Jane?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Riley,
Yes, sir.
this is pretty painful.
Yes, it is. Well, you're going to have to be patient. Thank you.
No, will you let me finish, Frank?
Okay.
We do have proposed plans. Unfortunately, I've been brought on board a little late, and I was not aware of the fact that the proposed plans have not been submitted. And I'm happy to go through the Form B, which indicates the building was built long after 1770, and the condition of the building. But we're going to have to continue to show you the proposed new structure.
Would you like to continue the application?
No, I think you can move forward now. We can talk about the report from Coastal Engineering.
All right. Well, then let me get Jane up to speed, Bill. Thank you. All right, Jane, you read the overview?
Yes.
Okay. And then the remaining is just the plot plan, and then the photographs, which Ally will show you as we proceed. And I think that should bring you up to speed. The only other negative here is the existing conditions assessment report. And I guess we could talk about that and decide whether or not we want to continue the hearing or not, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. Jane, do you feel comfortable proceeding?
Thank you. Yes, I've seen enough.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm sorry, am I interrupting you, Jane? I don't get the pictures on my my iPad here. I mean, I have the full package, so I have all the stuff, so maybe I just don't need the pictures, but is there a way I can get the pictures on so I can follow the bouncing ball?
Ben, at this particular time, I think, whatever the problem for the connection is, if you have the packet before you, we'll just make sure when Ally shows the drawing that you have we tell you what drawing we're referring to.
Good, good. Thank you.
All right, good. Thank you very much. I appreciate the cooperation. Look, I appreciate everybody's cooperation, guys, here. You know, let's all just proceed. Okay. Now that we have that, and Janet, you have the package, so you're okay.
Yeah, and I visited the property twice, so.
All right.
I'm
So we
with
got
you.
myself, Bob, Ben, Jane, Don, and Janet. Okay. All right. Let me just reintroduce the application before I turn it over to Bill. Again, this is 322 Bridge Street, and a full demolition, as we spoke about, of a salt box house. There is a salt box roof house. There is a Form B, and the first issue we should probably address with the applicant, it's up to him, is the issue of historically significant. Is in fact the house more than 75 years old? So I guess Mr. Riley had some comments he wished to make. So Bill, why don't you go ahead?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we don't dispute the fact that the house is over 75 years old.
Okay.
What I disputed was the date of 770. I don't know where it came from. If you read the Form B, it's pretty clear that the building was built sometime in the 1800s and has been modified and changed many, many times. It is a salt box, and when we do get to the plans, which will be at your next meeting, you'll see we proposed the salt box to replace it. But I think the important aspect here is the condition of the building. For those of you who aren't aware of the fact, there was a pipe that burst in the building, well, several years ago, 2016, I believe, and it ran for quite a period of time. And so the damage to the building, particularly the foundation and the first floor, is very extensive. And if you had a chance to look at the report from Coastal Engineering, they have a comments and recommendations on page 4 of their report, and they say that there you
This
go.
is the comments and recommendation relative to the repairs that could be made.
Yeah, well, so all you have to do is look at the list of repairs that they're recommending. So you underpin the existing building, demolish damaged and defective foundation, first floor, and load-bearing walls. That means the house has to be jacked up and supported, which is very expensive. Then you have to disconnect all utilities, supply lines serving the building, strip exterior shingles to expose upper floor sheathing above the second floor. So you have to basically strip the entire building. Then you have to resheath it, install a new concrete foundation, new floors, wall sheathing, related anchors and hardware, new doors, window exterior trim, siding, install new rough electrical panel, mechanical, and plumbing utilities, insulate, apply interior wallboard finishes and trim. So basically, you're rebuilding the entire building. And so the applicant, not surprisingly, would rather start from scratch and create a new building. They've retained the services of Karen Kempton, who has done a proposal, which I'm sorry we didn't get it over to the commission, but it's a salt box. Karen has suggested moving it back from the street a little bit and fronting the building with actually put a front door facing the street as opposed to the side where it currently is. So I think that I'd like to discuss the condition of the building and the reason why it should be demolished. If you look at Form B, the
Bill, Bill, can I interrupt you a second? Let me, bear with me a second here. You know, we're not disputing the fact that the property is more than 75 years old, and whether it's 1770 or 1800, you know, there's no question in my mind personally, and I don't know about the rest of the commission, that the building is historically significant. Now, having said that, given the report, which unfortunately is 2016 and was an insurance report, they must have got a hell of a payment from the insurance company, and
They're
didn't do
still-
any work, and
they're
didn't do
still
any
lit-
work.
They're
And
still
now,
litigating it, Frank.
oh, they're still litigating? Okay. Okay, I got it. Now the question is, so, and I agree with you. We were very, Michelle, I know, tried very hard to the applicant, Casa Investments, or Mr. or Mrs. Benacasa, to indicate, you know, gee, if you have some plans, it's going to make things go a lot faster, understanding. So let me suggest, you know, I don't think, we're not going to dispute the age, you know, or the exact age. We're not going to dispute that there's problems with the building, but certainly, you know, if we can have Karen's drawings, you know, to give us a more sense relative to what we're going to be doing with this property on this very beautiful street, you know, I think it make things go a lot simpler. So could we not adjourn this to the next meeting? Give us the plans, let us look at it, and then it's 1, 2, 3, you know, without dragging out here.
Well, that's really a question for Stephen Barbara Benincasa. And I've tried calling and without success. So Barbara's on the line. So
Barbara, do you have an issue? Would you allow us to just adjourn this and do it all at one time?
Well, I definitely would like you to see the plan because I think you're going to be very impressed with
Fine.
how Karen, the architect, has redesigned this building to make it conform with the architecture of the neighborhood and to keep the look of the existing house with improvements, with many improvements. And I also want to say that this building was abandoned well before the leak that happened in 2016. If you walked in this structure, you would see this is abandoned for many, many years. And our goal, we have a home in Chatham that we built here, and we want to build this. We just love it here, and we want to build this to have a nice, quaint Chatham feel on that street. And I think what we're going to propose on, I mean, you see the front of that building with the air conditioner on, you know, showing on the front elevation. I mean, that's not very attractive at all. We're going to do a much more attractive salt box rendition of this, and I think you'll be very impressed.
I think we are all in violent agreement here that if we could get it all in one package and bring everybody up to speed, it's going to be a lot simpler. So, Bill, if we could, I can get a motion, and if you concur, to adjourn this to our next meeting.
Well,
And maybe,
Frank,
Ben,
I
let
didn't
me
raise
just,
my hand here, but I
Ben,
thought we weren't in the design business.
it doesn't matter, Ben. It's not a design issue. We can still consider what's happening to the property.
Right.
Well, we know what's happened to the property. The
No.
question is,
What's the street?
is it going to be feasible to repair it, or is it going, or are we just going to say demolition by neglect and just say tear it down? You know,
All right, Ben,
I
you
don't
object
know.
to that. Okay, it's very good. I got your objection. I understand what you're saying. But the applicant has agreed that we could potentially bring it all together in one time. And I'm asking for a motion, Mr. Lear, you know, to adjourn this to the next meeting, and then we can discuss the motion.
When's the next meeting?
Jane, Michelle?
August
The month.
17th.
August 13th. Was it
August
13th?
17th.
17th. Thank you.
17.
Got it.
All right.
Okay. Bob, can we get a motion? I lose Bob too.
Well, Bob is
Bob, you here?
Sorry.
It's all right.
I move that the Historical Commission continue this matter to August 17th with the concurrence of the applicant.
Okay, do we get a second?
I second.
That
Janet.
was Janet. Welcome,
Mhm.
Janet.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Any other comments and questions?
Well, this is Bill Riley.
Yes,
I
sir.
think I think it might be beneficial in terms of evaluating the condition of the structure. If the members of the commission actually visited the house, and we'll be happy to arrange a visit, whether as a group or singly, of the members of the commission.
Very good, Bill. I was there yesterday again. I passed that house a lot back and forth to Stage Harbor. And I did actually, went down the driveway, looked at the house, and quite candidly, Mrs. Benacasa, the door was open. The back door was open. And it was open. And I looked in. I didn't go in the house, but I did look in and saw some of it. But I would agree with you, Bill. Michelle?
Yes, Frank.
Do we have any guidance relative to group meetings?
I don't, but I'm happy to inquire on the commission's behalf. I don't know that group gatherings. I don't know what the status of it is at this point, so you'll have to let me check on it and get back with you.
All right, Bill, why don't we do that? I would recommend to the members of the commission, they make an individual, if they haven't. I think everybody has probably done a drive-by. It's a difficult property to access, but also to come into the property and see the extent of the damage, that would be helpful. And we'll let Michelle see if she could get what guidance from the town, because we're under all kinds of restriction. And if we can, sometime on a Monday before the 17th, we have at least 3 or 4 Mondays, and that's when we usually do our site visits, and see if we can arrange something. Michelle, can you take that action?
I will do that. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Frank,
Thank you,
this is
Bill.
Frank.
Yes, sir.
Before you go racing off here, we're happy to arrange individual visit to the property as well. In other words, if an individual member wants to go over to the property, all she has to do is let Michelle know a proposed time, and we will make the property available for that individual to visit. So we don't have to, it does not have to be a group session, as much as we all love to get together with that group hug afterwards.
Well, thank you, William. What the issue here is individually, we already do. I wish I knew where that echo is coming from. We already do individual visits to the property. The applicant allows that.
I'm talking about the interior of the building, Frank.
Yeah, I agree, Bill. Let me finish. But I'm agreeing with you, Bill, that yes, the interior is important. If we could do a joint one, it is useful generally to see other people's comments as we proceed. And if not, so we'll leave it to Michelle to try and arrange it. If she can't do a group one, then yes, she can take on the added burden of attempting to do individuals. It's a lot of scheduling there, and I want to keep volunteering staff. They got a lot on their plate, but we will attempt to do that. Okay, William? I think we're agreeing.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
All right, let's finish this. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. I'm going to do a roll call now.
It's a motion to continue. It's a motion to continue
Yes.
to August 17th.
Thank you. Appreciate you correcting me. I don't know what I'd do without you. Okay. Mr. Lear?
Yes.
Ben?
No.
No. Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Okay. And Janet? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And the chair votes yes. Okay. So we're going to meet again on the 17th. Prior to that time, hopefully at least a week before, we will get the drawings so we can provide them to the applicant. In addition, the members of the commission will attempt to visit the property if you have not already visited the property. And then in addition to that, Michelle will attempt to arrange either a group visit or an individual property a visit so we can go to see the interior of the property. You know, Bill, we had another property on Bridge Street in which had water damage, and so I'm well aware of the situation. But I thank you very much for your cooperation, and thank you very much, Mrs. Benacasa, for helping us move along.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, we're not done, unfortunately. We had another application, 24 Ivy Lane, which was withdrawn by Mr. Riley. Bill, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So is this property just up for sale, or I mean, are they coming back or what? Can you give me a little heads up?
Well, in the way of the Chatham real estate market, McManus's found another home actually down on Hallway Street, which is their dream home. So they're buying that, and so they put the property on the market, and they already had 3 offers, and it's under agreement now for sale to a neighbor. And I don't know what the neighbor plans to do, but McManus's have withdrawn the application, and I don't anticipate that the new owner would come back, but I'm not absolutely certain.
Is that the new Polimas property on Hallway Street?
Yeah, that's correct.
God bless them. I should have bought 4 houses when I bought this one 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have a few items to discuss. Most importantly, whether you like it or not, we need to reorganize the Historical Commission. We have to vote for a chair, a vice chair, a clerk, and reaffirm the Community Preservation Committee's representative of the commission. And I do have a couple of things I have to just walk you through. So having said that, Mr. Lear, can you help us move things along?
Maybe. What would you like?
Well, I would ask now for members of the commission who would like to potentially serve as chairman in 2021-22. How come I don't see any hands up?
How about you, Frank? Can you do it?
I can do it, but I think the chair has to comment to the members of the commission that we need to put a succession issue in process, which means, you know,
I mean,
I'm
if you
happy
get
to.
hit by a car, then somebody else has got to do it. Is that it?
Well, somebody else. So yeah, I'm willing to continue if that is the consensus of the members who are here and are voting. So we need a motion, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, I move that Mr. Messina be reelected as chair of the Historical Commission.
I second it.
Any comments or suggestions? Officially, I'd like to make it clear, you know, I'm doing it. I enjoyed doing it. You know, the days when we had Don Aikman, Bob Oliver, myself, we could move things around. So we need to consider that in terms of it. So having said that, we got to do a roll call. Mr. Lear?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay.
Yay!
Well,
Congratulations.
there's a lot going on, and I enjoy doing it, but you know, we need help, guys. Can't do it alone.
Yeah.
I would
Chairman,
like.
this is Don.
I'm sorry.
This is Don. I move that we nominate Bob Lear as vice chair.
Second.
Second. Yeah, good.
Second. Jane.
Mr. Lear?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions? Roll call. Mr. Lear,
Yeah.
Ben,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Don,
Yes,
Janet,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Thank you. I have asked Mr. Burlingame, there's been a change here. Uh, Sandy has asked to become an alternate just because of issues in the family, et cetera, et cetera. And the select board who make the nominations, not us, agreed. And they moved Mr. Burlingame up to a full member now. Having said that, I would like to move that we ask Mr. Burlingame to assume the office of clerk of the Historical Commission.
I second that.
Second by Don. Okay.
Yes,
Any other nominations or questions? Good. Okay. Roll call. Mr. Lear,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Don,
yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. One last thing is, Steph, I just haven't a chance to talk to you. I think this is your first year as the community preservation. I assume you'd like to continue?
Frank,
Steph
excuse
left.
me, it's Michelle. Steph's
She's not
gone.
here.
Steph?
Steph left at 11.
Oh,
He
good.
left the
Then,
meeting, remember?
she has no choice. I move
That's right.
Stephanie Hamilton continue as our representative to the Community Preservation Committee.
Frank,
Yes, sir.
it's Dean. I don't know if this is accurate, but I'm looking at the website for the Community Preservation Committee, and it says that Steph's term doesn't expire until 2022.
That's a good question because I never knew there was a term limit on that.
I suspect when we appointed her, it was either for a full 3-year term on that committee, or
Okay.
Or forever.
Was she filling a term that Jane had originally been
No.
appointed? Okay.
Well,
I ended my 3 years.
yeah, she
Okay.
ended at 3 years. Okay. All right. I apologize. And Mr. Nicastro,
I don't know if that's accurate or not, Frank. Sometimes these entries are not correct. I mean, you could take whatever action you feel is appropriate today.
Well,
and
then I
check
will
with-
I will change my motion in the sense I will reaffirm our continued support of Stephanie Hamilton as the community preservation representative until her term expires.
Second.
Second.
All right, we got a second. We're going to do a quick roll call. Bob,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Don,
Yes,
Janet,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, well, select. Can I still call you Selectman?
Anything you
Sure.
anything you want, Frank.
Selectman, I appreciate your comment and your correction. Thank you very much.
We'll check with we'll check with Sean on this, make sure that's accurate. If it's not, we'll have to come back.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Look, guys, it's 11:30. If you give me 15 minutes, I think we could wrap it up. All right, Bear. This was a tough one. This was like pulling teeth today. Okay, our next item was the discussion of project oversight by individual commission members. Just very quickly, I had input from some members years ago. In fact, I think it was Jane who said, we should assign a person to every application to be the oversight, on an application. The town, unfortunately, given requirements, there's the building department, and they deal with the law as it relates to the application, and we deal with a far more subjective issue. As Don pointed out, there was an error by the chairperson, whoever he was at the time, in approving a change. So maybe it's more than one set of eyes on it, and so I'd like to bring forth a proposal in a future date of the process of not every application, but maybe on major ones, that we ask a member of the commission to take the assignment of driving by do a drive-by and verify, that things are happening the way they should be happening. And if something is out of tilt versus what we approved, to be the canary in the mine, a little bit of heads up. Trust me, the building commissioner, and him and I have had discussions on this. He doesn't take offense of that. If a member of the public or a member of the commission sees something which is inconsistent with the application, so unless somebody has major problems or heartache on that, we'll talk about it at a future time when we have more time to talk about it. Okay?
Sounds good.
Everybody okay? Anybody objecting?
We need to do that. We need to follow through
Okay.
on what we decided.
All right. So that's a future date. All right. Let me proceed then under old business. Hold on. I need a drink.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Old business, adherence to historical commission determination, the process and the option for fines for non-compliance of determination. I had extensive discussions with Katie Donovan, the Director of Community Development, and also with Jay Briggs, the enforcing agent. And Don, excuse me, your hand is up. Do you wish to say something? Okay, your hand's down. Okay. And the bottom line at this particular juncture, where we are, is that Ms. Donovan and the building commissioner want an opinion from the town council to review, what the process is on how the fines are levied, who can levy the fines, when they could be fined, et cetera, et cetera. The law at the state level, as it comes down to the town, is not clear. And I know in the past, there have been situations where fines were levied by the so-called historical commission. There's some question whether the commission has that authority to do that unilaterally, or if in fact it is the building commissioner who does the fining. And the building commissioner himself, Mr. Briggs, has asked for clarification from the council. So I think we're making some good progress here, Don. I'm looking at you because you are the primary person helping us here to move forward. Is that okay?
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, we lost Stephanie. Demolition of a neglect of a property. Steph did some preliminary work, and I know she's continuing to do that, and we should redress that again. Interesting enough, that property, 322 Main Street, is probably a good, a good situation where a property was just allowed to deteriorate.
You mean Bridge
And
Street?
Bridge
right?
Street, yes. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I see Janet is going to be the one who's going to correct all my misspeaks.
No,
Thank you.
only trying to be helpful.
No, no, please be helpful. Trust me at this particular point. Ally, are you still with us?
I am, Frank.
God, you must be laughing at this meeting. Go ahead.
No.
Okay. Can you just quickly give us an update before our presentation to the selectmen on the 27th?
Sure. So Frank and I have gone and given a presentation for the proposed zoning bylaw to the planning board and also the zoning board of appeals. And this Tuesday, the 27th, we will be attending the select board's meeting and giving the same presentation, an overview of the bylaw, to hear any comments that we have back from the select board members, so that we can then incorporate all the comments that we received from the zoning board of appeals, the planning board, and the select board, and we can bring it back to the commission. And you guys can decide what changes you would like to see to the bylaw based upon the comments, or not. And then we can just move forward with the bylaw at that point. So we're hoping to kind of wrap this part up.
Thank you very much, Ally. We're making good progress, even with the COVID. And we had great comments from the planning board. We had good comments from the zoning board of adjustment. Everybody generally is in agreement. It's a great idea. It's, just the devil's in the details. I think we can, as a commission, incorporate some of their comments, and others we just feel we may not want to. And and so we're at that point. After we finish with the Board of Selectmen, as Ali indicated, we need to find a whole meeting, one meeting for us to finalize our comments and then prepare it for submission at whatever the next special town meeting or regular town meeting next May. Uh, and I think there's a need for it. So that's where we are. Ali, I assume you have to give something to the Board of Selectmen before the actual meeting.
That is correct. I've started to draft the staff report. If you want, I can run it past you. It's basically the same template though as the other two for the zoning board of appeals and the planning board, but I'd be happy to run it past you, Frank.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. The Coast Guard Boathouse, guys, the funding has been approved at the town meeting to move it. There is an MOU in place, I believe, between the town and Mr. Doherty to bring it back. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody in authority relative to where the town is, relative to the design of the new upweller and the incorporation of the boathouse. Mr. Nicastro, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Do you know, can you shed any light on that, where that is?
If you can hold a second, I'm getting a call from someone. Let me just.
Okay.
Hi, Dave. I'm in a meeting. Can I call you back?
Oh, sure. Thanks very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. So
Yes, sir.
The boathouse.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we got, as you said, you laid it out correctly, Frank. A memorandum of understanding was signed and is in place between Mr. Doherty and the town. And we got the funding at town meeting from the CPC funds, which your commission supported. So I guess details are remain to be worked out between the town and Dave, and it'll be a long process. And there are ample protections, as I saw the document, that town council inserted in the memorandum of understanding in terms of the location and placement of the boathouse. I think the sense of the select board is that we'd like to see it at Stage Harbor and used to house the upweller. But that's as far along as we are right now.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay. The last item under old business is a package which I sent to everybody. This was the responses to the comments. The subject, by the way, for the members of the public. This is the submission of the South Chatham Village as a National Register district, the nomination papers. It was updated based upon the comments we received on April 12th by Eric Dre, our consultant. You now have the final package. Things have changed a little bit. There have been some changes in administration at Mass Historic Commission, which is unfortunate. We're dealing with new people at Mass Historic. At A, and B, the federal government, the National Park Service, who is the keeper of the National Register, has made some changes. Actually, Don, it's interesting. They've made it far more difficult to create a National Register district and changing some of the criteria. So you're lucky you sneaked in the old village when you did, because things have changed. So I'm still hopeful that, we're going to be able to make this happen, become a reality. Quite candidly, I think that's going to be my swan song on the commission after 20 years, whatever it is. But so that's where we are. We're waiting to hear now back from Mass Historic that they agree with the comments, the response to their comments. The next step would actually be meetings, which would be held in the town of Chatham, in South Chatham, posted either by us, the Historical Commission, or Mass Historic, in which they will bring the various stakeholders in the proposed National Register District and the members of the public and explain to them the process for a National Register designation. Then in the following step, after that's completed, assuming that there continues to be a majority positive outlook for support of the National Register District, the new National Register District, then they would submit it to the National Park Service for acceptance at the national level. I think I got that right. Okay, any questions?
Frank, your camera is off.
Is off?
Yep.
Well, I could see myself.
We haven't seen you for a long time.
That's good. Well, I can see myself, so that's a problem for Dallas, not me. So, but I'm sure you can hear me.
We
Like
can hear you.
We can
don't
hear
see
you.
We can definitely hear you, but we can't see you.
That's
We
good.
can't
Let's keep it that way. My docile tones. All right. Okay, we're proceeding now under chairman's report. Very quickly, guys. You all have, I'm waving it, but you can't see it. You now have the status of demolition delays. Nothing has happened on Seaview Street. We're still waiting. Saul Pond Road has expired. The application was approved by the ZBA, so there should be activity here. Shattuck Place, where the demolition permit has been issued, so that should be the next one to go. Last but not least, 68 Shell Drive. I think as you read in the notes of my report, they were successful in working things out with the Conservation Commission. So they approved the application. There was a hearing on the 24th, and the zoning board, ZBA, in my opinion, didn't go well. But the applicant has indicated that he is completely redoing his plans, reduce the scope of it. I think the major objection to ZBA was the size of the new home that's being proposed. Hope springs eternal. He's going back on to the ZBA on August 12th. So I'm still hopeful that we can find the ZBA in its heart to allow this proposal to proceed, which we could save 68 Shell Drive. If the ZBA does not approve it, I don't know what's going to happen to that Nickerson home. We may have to go back to ground zero and find a place to move it to somewhere in the United States, but it may not stay in Chatham. The positive element to that is the barn, the historic barn, which was supposed to be relocated to the Nye Museum. The Nickerson Family Association, on again, off again, has now indicated they want to take the barn and keep it in Chatham. So luckily, the Nye Family Association in Sandwich are being very gracious, and they said if in fact the Nickersons now say they want to keep the historic barn in Chatham at their facility, they will step aside and allow it to stay in Chatham. So that's good. I just wish we could have kept the house there. So that's where we are on the 68 Shell Drive. Monomoy Theater, everything's on hold. I think that's it. By golly.
Frank,
Yes, ma'am. Whoever that was.
it's Michelle. I'm so sorry. The administrative review ratification for 82 School Street.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I went right by. Now, what, I'm a little confused here. Are we saying now the commission needs to ratify the previous decisions?
You have ratified them up until this point. Yes.
Is that how we put it in the rules and reg?
Yes.
I believe so. Bob, correct
Okay.
me if I'm wrong.
All right. I'm sorry. A little bit confused. Senior moment. Okay. So you do have, I found it. You have the application. You have the notes. You have the determination, independent determination of the chair and the vice chair. So having said that, yes, sir.
Frank, wait a second. I removed myself from that because of the connection with the old village association.
Oh, who was it? It was Don?
Don, I believe. Maybe Don
Michelle?
may have removed himself too.
No, it was
I don't
Sandy.
have it in front of me, Frank.
It was Sandy. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
The members.
I'm sorry. Thank you. It was myself and Sandy, the clerk, who independent evaluation. agreed that this matter was valid for as administrative review. Any questions? Michelle, having said that, so then you don't release the actual permit until this meeting validates the application.
I believe that the work was already in progress when we discovered it, and hence the administrative review came to be. So I believe that ship has sailed.
Okay, but I know that this was an odd case. We caught it where the work was already, normally then let's all agree that the way we're doing this administrative review, a permit would not be issued from the building department until it's ratified by the historical commission. Okay, Michelle?
So I think would you not have to change your rules and regulations to reflect that?
Well, that's
I'm not
my
sure that's
first
what we've
question.
done
I
in the
don't have the rules and regs in front of me. Are we saying, what did we say in the rules and regs? I thought we said that that it did not have to be ratified.
No, I respectfully disagree.
What did we put in the rules and regs, Bob?
I'll find it, hopefully.
All right. So break in the action.
So if I may, Bob, I have it here. It says that the applicant will be so notified in writing by a document signed by the reviewers as to the determination, and the determination placed on the agenda for the next hearing for ratification by the full commission.
I stand corrected. Thank you.
Well, it does call out that the commission ratifies, but it really doesn't specify that.
Well, let's clarify that right now. Ratification means that it ain't happening until the fat lady sang. And in that case, we should not be issuing a building permit until the commission ratifies it.
Okay, then I think we need to put that in.
Well,
respectfully, I think that needs to be added to the rules and regs.
Well, I have
Just
at least
so
one attorney here. Bob, what do you think?
I know Michelle and I had discussed that, and we did contemplate that there might be a delay in allowing the applicant to go forward until the commission met.
So I don't know, again, respectfully, I think that maybe clarification in the rules and regulations as to that part of the process.
All right, put it on the agenda for the next meeting. I guess Don, Ben, Steph, Jane, you all agree, Janet, what we're saying here? You know, we operate via the rules and regulations, and so we're going to modify the rules and regs. And the way we modify the rules and regs is by a hearing at a meeting. So at our next meeting, we'll clarify the wording. Bob, can you help us there and just give us some better wording?
I will work with Michelle to do that, yes.
Now, Michelle, I know it does put a little bump in the process, but if this is what the commission wants, then so be it.
Agreed. And I think that when I talk to folks about the administrative review process, you know, I let them know that there could be a delay, but the delay is much shorter than waiting for a public hearing.
Absolutely. And on top of that, you know, there's the cost of hiring Mr. Riley or Mr. Litchfield. It's a much user-friendly process to get approval.
Yes.
Okay. I think so for now, let's agree we're going to ratify this one right here. And let's need a motion to ratify the decision of July 16th.
So moved.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Jane. No other comments? We're going to take a vote. Bob?
I did not take part, so I abstain.
No, we're voting. All right. No, we're voting to ratify the previous decision.
I understand that, and that's what I
You're recusing yourself.
He wasn't there. Part in.
Did you recuse yourself? No, Bob, let me just clarify this. You're recusing yourself because of your involvement in the application or in the process. You're a member of the commission. You did not want to.
I am recusing because of the relationship between
Got it.
between
Sorry.
the applicant and the Old Village Association.
Oh, I got it. So, okay. So it's the Old Village.
Yes.
We can't have any more members of the commission on the Old Village Association. All right,
Well,
here we go. All right. As an abstaining. Okay. Ben,
Yes.
thank you. Jane,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
I thought you were going to abstain. And Janet,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, Michelle, we're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad we got the clarification here. Progress, I think that's it. Does anybody have anything they would like to talk about, complain about?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Yes, the chairman has some discussion. You guys got to help me here, guys. I mean, and it just is very difficult. And I would like to make sure that our next meeting is in person, Michelle.
I'm
No
gonna work
more.
on it,
Great.
Frank. I cannot promise, but I will work on it.
Yeah, I don't care if we have to go change the time and the date of the meeting. You know,
Well, it all depends. Where the commission, we need to work with Channel 18 staff. I need to check with the Katie, and I need to get my ducks in a row first. I don't think they were planning on the commission going to an in-person hybrid situation until September. And so I need to get on that. I will get on it as soon as we adjourn, and I will find out what can be done, and I'll let you know. How's that?
well, that's good, Michelle. I'm not trying to be more of a pain than I am. But the other thing is, even if we have to change the time or the date, you know, it's just very frustrating.
Keeping in mind, Frank, keeping in mind that the deadline for the August 17th meeting is tomorrow, and the legal notice will have to go to the Chronicle this week. I'll need to know, you know, what our plan is by then, because I have to advertise it correctly.
All right. Thank you,
I think
Michelle.
that's why, it's okay. I think that's why we opted to wait until September, and you and I spoke last week, and I had made you aware that it might even have to be the second meeting, because the first agenda in September closes right after or right before the August meeting.
Okay.
It closes right before. The September 7th agenda closes on August 11th. And so it makes for a little bit of
Aggravation.
dicey work, but we'll figure it. No, it's not aggravation. We'll figure it out. It's just a little bit of, you know,
Yeah.
push and pull. So we'll figure it out. I'll keep you in the loop. Thank you.
Thank you. It's 12 o'clock. I want to go sailing this afternoon. All right. Roll call. Mr. Lear?
It's not enough wind, Frank. You just better forget it. Yes.
All right. Ben?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Our new member, Janet?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much, guys. I'm sorry. This was a long one.